As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I have to go with the best football program in the Big Ten at the time, the Indiana Hoosiers.
What? I thought you were going to say Oregon. Come on, Oregon's the best team in the Big Ten. Come on, man.
Yeah, well, maybe Indiana's pretty solid. They are 9-0. It's crazy. It's the third time ever in the history of their program that Indiana has had 9 wins. They've got 9 wins, all of them straight, double digit wins. And they're doing some incredible things both sides of the football, offensively and defensively. And they got their ninth win on an absolute ass kicking of Michigan State. I mean, they go down 10-0, and then from that point on, it ain't even close between the two football teams. Really impressive. And their defense is, I mean, they get it from both sides, but their defense has been incredible this year, and this game was no different. They're right currently the fifth in the country total defense, and against Michigan State, they had 2 interceptions, a safety, 15 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, held Michigan State to minus 24 yards rushing. And
Goodness.
I maybe this is controversial, maybe not. I think Indiana finishes the regular season undefeated, and they're about to play Michigan, at Ohio State, and then Purdue.
That is bold, sir.
I know it.
It's not that bold saying Indiana's going to beat Michigan, but saying they're going to beat Ohio State in Columbus, that's quite the statement. But
Bold.
you can only play who's on your schedule.
That's right.
So people can complain about Indiana's schedule as much as they want. Who's their best win? Who's their best win? Listen, all they can do is play who's on the schedule. But man, they've been whooping people.
Yes, they
And
have.
hey, Curtis Rourke was back. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. What thumb surgery only takes 2 weeks? Whatever one he had, he was back spinning it. Looked good.
Yeah, he was back. Looked good. Well, he threw for 4 touchdowns, I believe, in the game. Uh, Smooth, efficient. You know, they are have a really good passing game. Um, just it's a fun team to watch. You know, it's awesome whenever you get these the teams, the programs that really haven't been a player ever. I mean, outside of the year they had, was that the COVID year when they had Penix there? I mean, beat Penn State, had a couple of nice games. But outside of that, I don't remember Indiana ever really factoring into anything. I mean, Kevin Wilson, them, I think they had a couple of nice seasons, but were never really a factor. And this is something totally different. I mean, the way that they're dominating people, it's really impressive.
It is, unless something just drastic happens. I mean, it's going to win Kirk Cignetti Coach of the Year.
Oh, I mean, it's
That, I mean that may already be over.
yeah. Considering the history of that program and what he's done as quickly as he's done, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are uh, if you're at a big program and you're making a change at the head coaching spot, I mean, the first call everyone is going to make is going to be to Cignetti at Indiana, right?
If you're Florida,
Once they Google him,
Google me. I win. Still one of the best quotes ever. Incredible. Indiana's leadership, there is nothing more important to that university right now than keeping Kirk Cignetti. The basketball program has not been good for a long time. Football is what butters the bread, baby. Even at Indiana, you look at the TV deal, and especially, and I don't want to get too deep into this. There may be more of a separation in college football coming. And where does Indiana want to be if that separation comes? If that discussion, if all of a sudden Ohio State and Michigan look around at the rest of the teams in the Big Ten and go, hey, why are you getting as much money as us? If Indiana's winning a ton of games and racking up Big Ten wins and they've got Kurt Cinetti, then they can go to the table and go, what do you mean?
Because we beat y'all's asses in back-to-back weeks, one of them at home, one of them in Columbus.
And you're right, though. Everyone's going to want this guy. The number one thing Indiana needs to do as a university, not just as an athletic program, is to make sure they do whatever they have to do to keep Kirk Cinetti. Because think about how many more kids are going to go to Indiana because they're good at football now. That dude is a cash cow for them.
It's crazy. You are going to have to fight, just imagine they play. Is it Michigan they play? Is it this week they play them, this coming week?
Yeah.
They're going to play them there in Indiana. And, everyone knows Michigan is down this year. If you go out there and you beat Michigan by 4 touchdowns, how is Michigan not going to come and throw just a boatload of money at him? I mean, because they're a trend. Sherrone Moore, he was a transitional hire for them, right? It was hopeful that he would carry on what Harbaugh did there, and maybe it's not fair, but to have that type of year after the national championship, people are already going to be getting antsy. You know it.
Florida may have avoided disaster by Georgia coming back and winning that game.
No kidding. What do we do now?
I know that if they would have pulled that off with their third string quarterback in, I don't know. Like, what do you say if you're a Florida fan? But he is going to be in high demand. Mm-hmm. He's making $3.5 million this year. Double his salary immediately. Triple it if you have to, Indiana.
They're going to have to triple it.
I think in his final year, he's scheduled to make $4 million. Give him $10 million and sleep well at night, Indiana. It'll be the best money you've ever paid.
Yep.
Because it's clear. The guy can coach. Google him. He wins.
What I like about him is he's old school and simple, and it's all really straightforward. You know what I'm saying? It's not I don't know. I don't have a great way to put it into words, but whenever you hear him talk and watch his interviews, it's almost like Belichick with a much better personality. You know?
It's a great way of putting it.
It's like it's like a funny, personable Bill Belichick.
I assume there could be a couple people going, wait, this is just one season. Can you really go all in on this guy? When you look at his career, he's right. All he has done is wherever he's been, he's won. So are you willing, now that you're collecting this massive check if you're Indiana from the new Big Ten TV deal, spend that money on that coach.
Yep.
Go all in on him and see what he can do as far as attracting players to that program, because Indiana right now is one of the talks of college football. You have to capitalize on this momentum if you're them. And capitalizing on that momentum takes capital. It just does. Yep. So I'm very interested to see what that looks like. They should announce the extension this week. And the raise, whatever they're going to do, just announce it this week.
Before the phones even start ringing, you need to walk up to him and hand him enough money to where he doesn't even think about it.
I I think that's exactly what you do.
Because we're getting to that point where the phone is about to start ringing. It's that time of year where the like once the first person that makes the move and acts as their head coach, it's going to be dominoes falling out there because everyone wants to get in on who the top candidates are out there.
Who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
The Big 12. Woo! The big dogs went down in the Big 12. Iowa State loses to Tech 23-22 in that one was in Ames, right?
Yeah.
Kansas State goes down to 4-5 Houston 24-19, and the woes continue for Oklahoma State. Arizona got the Scatterboo treatment 42-21. Wild weekend in the Big 12. Some great games though. The Tech Iowa State game was excellent.
When you draw it up for Iowa State, they have the they have the big explosive, 44-yard pass, I think, from Beck to Brown. They take the lead. They don't get the 2-point conversion. But you're Iowa State. The program's been built on that John Haycock defense.
Yep.
That's been the most reliable thing. And you got to get a stop. You get a stop. You stay undefeated. Your playoff hopes stay alive. Your Big 12 title hopes stay alive. And Tech goes down the field 12 plays in less than 2 minutes and punches it in?
Yeah, they had a big 4th and 7 at their own 43 that they converted on. Got an 8-yard pass converted, and that was with about minute 15 left. And at that point, they hit the gas and were just boop, 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 boop. But 4th down conversion, man, that was really the end of it.
Heartbreak for the Cyclones.
And then, did you watch the end of the game? Like
the end of that game?
Like the final possession from Iowa State?
Yeah.
I didn't understand what they were doing with some of their clock stuff. It was strange. Like they tried the last play of the game where you run like the crosser, catch it, and toss it back to someone. There was plenty of time. They needed to get in decent range to kick a field goal. I mean, they had plenty of time and timeouts to do it, but I don't know. It seems strange how they were trying to operate.
They went pitchy woo woo too soon.
Way too soon. Thank God they didn't get it, but I don't even know why they were trying it. They wasted a ton of time even trying it. If he would have caught the pitch, the game would have been over. They would have scored on it. I don't know what they were trying to do. They should have just been working the sideline or the deep middle of the field. They still had a timeout to get the field goal range. It was weird. I don't know.
I'm shocked. A college football team didn't manage the clock very well.
It's so weird, man.
This is my shocked face. The Kansas State one, they just fell apart in the fourth quarter. Avery Johnson, man, a couple of, especially the first interception in the fourth quarter, just an awful throw. RPO game, Ted.
Yeah.
You have to be on time. He pulls it. He squeezes it. He throws it late. Picked off. Sets Houston up for an easy touchdown. Zion Chris rips off a really nice touchdown run. K-State defense giving up explosives again. But still, all of that happens. You got a chance to go win the game. You've got the ball. 2-minute drill. Got to go score a touchdown and win the game. Another interception.
Crazy.
That game felt over at 19-10. And all of a sudden it was, oh my gosh, Houston's going to win this game. Yeah. And there was no one there to watch it.
It's interesting because we've had to go through the whole watching Dylan Gabriel at Oregon thing, and there's for whatever reason there's well, I know the reason, but there's people that have got hung up on that about why didn't they keep Dylan Gabriel and everything, and forget I'm not really even talking about any of the reasons, but K-State fans have to be wondering the same thing, don't they? Watching Will Howard, Ohio State.
Will Howard's a better player than Avery Johnson. He just is. I mean, is that even debatable at this point in time? Their
No.
record would be better if Will Howard was their quarterback.
Avery Johnson's he's patches of good followed by long periods of mistake-ridden football. He makes a ton of mistakes. He'll make a bunch of really nice plays, but the mistakes are critical. And it feels like I'm looking at his stats. He's got 7 interceptions. It feels like way more than that because they come in bunches in critical games.
And at critical times in those games.
Yeah.
Like the fourth quarter against Houston. Not a good weekend for the Big 12. Now, luckily, BYU was on a bye.
Mm-hmm.
So the undefeated Cougars couldn't go down because they weren't playing a game. But Iowa State goes down. Remember, that's Kansas State's second loss. That's their second conference loss. You start looking at the big picture, and it's about that time of the year where we start talking about what the playoff picture could look like. It may be a one-team situation for the Big 12, which kind of feels like a disaster if you're the Big 12.
With where they were 3 days ago, yes. But now, I mean, what's interesting is, BYU is sitting there undefeated, 5-0 in conference play. Then you got Iowa State and Colorado with 1 loss in conference, and Kansas State, Tech, Cincinnati. I mean, there's a bunch with 2 losses.
And remember, Kansas State and Iowa State, Farmageddon's last week of the year this year. So one of those teams has taken another loss.
One of those teams has taken another loss. And Colorado is, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
BYU's got Utah, Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston left. Those are all very winnable for them. They should play in the Big 12 title game. And when you look at the overall picture for the Big 12 when it comes to making the playoff, I think Colorado has the second best chance when you look at the remaining schedule.
Yeah.
So not exactly an ideal situation for the Big 12 conference, but it's wildly entertaining, man. I really don't care about how many teams they get in the playoff. We knew this conference was going to be super competitive. It feels pretty even across the board from a talent perspective, and that's what makes it fun. But it does feel like at the end of the season, that could cost them.
Well, yeah. And you have that, which may be costly, but it's fun to watch, though. It's super competitive, which is great, but it may cost them a playoff spot. But the crazy thing is Oklahoma State, who was one of the favorites going in, they're 0-6 in conference play. And they haven't had like some massive spate of injuries, have they? I mean, all of their big time players, like their skill position players, has their offensive line been beaten up or something? Is most of their main players are that I know of. I haven't watched it nearly as closely, but just did not. I expected Oklahoma State to be really, really competitive this year with all of the guys that they had coming back. It's pretty wild with where they are at the moment, having lost 6 straight games, all conference. It's somehow they beat Arkansas.
Yeah, that is, well, maybe it's not one of the most head scratching results of the year. Arkansas is hard to figure out as well.
They are.
Let's finish up with my winner and loser of the weekend. But first,
We're brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. The holiday season is just around the corner. We're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. HelloFresh makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious, home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. And with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless. My wife and I made HelloFresh's pecan crusted chicken with honey mustard sauce and lemony apple salad. Easy to make, healthy, delicious. It's so easy to follow the instructions. It only took 30 minutes. HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week, tailor everything to your schedule by adjusting your delivery date, or skip a week when you're not able to cook at home. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown. And it's applied across 7 boxes, and it's new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown.
And this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. This month is all about gratitude, and therapy can help you discover what truly you appreciate in life. Visit betterhelp.com/OKC to get 10% off your first month. Sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make every sense that it's crazy world, try to figure it all out. It's not easy. It's what therapy could be for, man. I saw a therapist when I was in the NFL, really stressed out, bottom of the roster life, not fun. That helped me deal with all that stuff. I'm a big believer in therapy and believe that it can help so many people if you're just willing to try it. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you go from there. You can even switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Therapy can help you discover what you're truly thankful for in life. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/OKC to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/OKC to get 10% off your first month. My word of the weekend. What, you thought I was going to talk about more college football? Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder, baby. 3 games in 4 nights, Ted. Went 3-0. Squad is looking good. You got to see them in person on Wednesday night. Shout out to Brian and Mike for having us as their guests for that game. What'd you think? What did you think of the squad?
I think they look really good. It feels like they have, first and foremost, it's probably talked about the least, but maybe one of the most important things is the chemistry of the football or the basketball team. I think it looks like the team really likes each other. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of ego there. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of guys that feel like they have to get theirs first and foremost. I just really like the vibe of the overall team. And, you're going to have nights where you just don't hit shots, but you can compete and play well on defense every night. And that seems to be what they really hang their hat on. I know they got great offensive players, and I'm not saying they don't, but it feels, at least mentality-wise, that this is a defense-driven basketball team.
I agree completely. I still think it's absurd that you said you would go out on the court and grab the ball and punt it in the stands for $1 million.
Why not? $1 million?
I feel like you got a lot going for you. I feel like the price tag needs to be bigger for you.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. It may be good it may have been the best thing that could happen for the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to think about.
The offer's still there. If anyone wants to pony up $1 million, I will walk onto any basketball game that is playing in live action, grab the basketball, and punt it into the upper deck for $1 million.
You heard the man, people. So they beat San Antonio Wednesday night. Then they had a little West Coast trip. Beat Portland on Friday night. Had the back-to-back and just a massive third quarter against the Trailblazers. Just smacked him in the face in the third. Game was over. And then beat the Clippers on Saturday night with a very strong fourth quarter performance. And would you look at that? 6-0. You think about all the expectations for this team, and they're living up to all of them. And one of the things you mentioned the defense, like against San Antonio, we watched Shai Gilgeous-Alexander struggle shooting the ball, but that didn't affect the way that he played on the defensive end of the floor. And I think that if your leader, your best player, has that mentality and that level of buy-in on the defensive end of the floor, even if he's not hitting shots, that kind of just sets the tone for everyone else. And then he bounces back nicely with 30 points in 28 minutes against Portland. I think he shot like 50% against the Clippers. But you look at these last three wins for the Thunder, the defense is going to be there night in and night out. Now, they'll have some nights where, hey, teams shoot it really well. That happens in the NBA. There's a lot of shot variance. That's just part of it. But they shot 41% from three against San Antonio. They shot 38% from three against Portland. And then they shot 41% from three against the Clippers. If they shoot the three around 40%, there are very, very few nights where they're going to lose because of the defense that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there's so much to be excited about. You look at the 6 wins. They've held their opponent under 100 4 times in the 6 games. I mean, I'm trying not to just get irrationally excited about this season, but we're getting to that point.
I mean, it's almost to the point where you're the only person that hasn't picked the Thunder to win the title.
I
And I don't need.
I'm starting to expect them to be there.
I'm not pressuring you into anything.
No,
I'm
no.
just explaining. Like every time I come across someone nationally talking about the Thunder, it's them saying they're the best team in the NBA, and there's really not even a conversation.
There's a conversation between the defending champs, the Celtics, and the Thunder right now. There's definitely a conversation. And how about the Cavs? I think what are they 7-0? How about that? But this is the best way to put it. My wife and I, we are big planners.
Mm-hmm.
Our April to June there's nothing planned.
Yeah.
Got to keep it open. Playoff basketball in Oklahoma City, baby.
Yep.
You can't plan a vacation in June. You just can't. Can't do it. Won't do it.
I do have one question. They are talked about how good they are defensively. How much better, or will it be better? How much will, when they get Hartenstein back defensively, how much of an effect is that going to have?
Yeah, I think it'll be a matchup dependent thing with Hartenstein. Just because that'll take some of the pressure off of Chet. When it comes to having to really bang and with some of the bigger centers around the league.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can just be kind of a guy that roams and helps. And it feels like it'll even open up Chet to block more shots, which is kind of crazy to think about.
End up being a help side guy a little more.
I think that'll free him up. And he can there will still be stretches in those types of games where Chet is playing center and guarding the other team's big man. But if he can just get a couple minutes here and there where he's not just having to grind on the defensive end of the floor and bang and like use that much energy doing that, just think of how much better he could be overall, which is scary to think of because he's been incredible so far this season.
And for me, I think it is a big positive with how bad Hartenstein dresses. There's not going to be a whole lot of just not going to be like a real flashy guy. It's like he's going to end up being the type of player that I like. I mean, because he dresses horribly, so I know that I don't know, that can't be a big part of his personality.
If if you're wondering where that's coming from, people, Hartenstein was wearing. There was a what a 20-minute conversation between us four about the shirt he was wearing.
Trying to figure out what was going on.
I spent an embarrassing amount of time laying in bed after that game trying to find a similar shirt to send you in the mail and to send Brian in the mail. And I couldn't find anything like it. I tried all kinds of different descriptions. Couldn't find anything close.
You didn't find a gigantic bed sheet type dress shirt that appears to maybe be in two pieces,
Couldn't find it.
huh? To pair with, I don't know, cut off slacks, or I don't know what those were, and pair them. Do I remember a chain wallet in those pants as well?
Correct.
Yeah. So
It was something. Fashion, Ted. It's called fashion, buddy. Deal with it. Yeah, that was interesting. All right, for my loser of the weekend. Wait, Thunder are really good. Very excited.
yes.
Very,
Yep.
very excited. Going to be an awesome season. We will be updating you quite a bit in winners and losers until we transition to football guys talking basketball, and then we'll hit Thunder in that. But there's a lot of football, a lot of college football, especially to be played before we make that transition. My loser of the weekend. I thought about going with that offensive line coach from ULM. What in the world was that guy doing?
I couldn't tell from the clip. It looked like he sent him onto the field,
Hey, buddy,
and
relax. It's not that serious.
I'm guessing that was the head coach that was there, going like, "Just calm down, we're fine." To like, it's he was not calming down.
I, I the only thing I could think of was, hey, just too much pre-workout before the game. Too much caffeine in the system.
Yeah,
There's a
caffeine.
certain intensity you have to have when you're an O-line coach, but come on, man.
That looked
Relax.
like it was past the caffeine stage.
Yeah. He, maybe a real valuation of some life choices for that guy. That was a lot.
A lot.
But my loser of the weekend, the Clemson Tigers had gotten it rolling since the blowout loss to Georgia in the opener. And I think a lot of people were just assuming they were on their way to running the table the rest of the season, going and playing for an ACC title, maybe winning that game and being in the playoff. There was a lot of chatter. Oh, all you people that left Clemson for dead. What now? Well, Louisville's perimeter run game, that's what's now.
Mm-hmm.
Gashing them, Ted. Outside zone. Pin pull. Attacking the perimeter. I was sitting there going, oh, this is the stuff. Beautiful, beautiful execution from Louisville. Isaac Brown had himself a day, 151 yards and a touchdown. And let's be real, Clemson got rolled at home.
It's
That was a
thing.
very disappointing performance from Clemson. Like Louisville showed up, pushed them around, and walked out of there with a double-digit win.
It's crazy. Like I'm looking at the stats. First downs, Clemson had 31 to Louisville's 19. Third down, Clemson was 11 to 23, Louisville 4 of 12. Clemson was 5 of 6 on fourth down conversions. They outgained them 450 to 366. They didn't turn the ball over at all. They had less penalties, 5 penalties for only 39 yards. They rushed the ball for more yards. They had possession almost 38 minutes to 22 minutes. It's crazy. They won almost every single metric on the stat sheet and got routed.
Missed a couple field goals or had a couple field goals blocked.
Yeah.
Couldn't score touchdowns. They did a little bit in the fourth quarter, but it was too late. Too little, too late. I mean,
Wow.
you can rack up yards all you want, man, but it comes down to scoring points in this game.
Got to be able to finish.
Got to be able to finish drives. And now you look at it, Clemson needs help to play for the ACC title now. Miami and SMU. How about the ponies this weekend? My goodness.
Hmm.
Beat the hell out of Pitt.
And
But Miami and SMU, both undefeated in ACC play. Remember, those two teams don't play each other. They also don't play Clemson.
yeah.
So Clemson needs them to drop one.
And what's crazy is Clemson doesn't lose at home over like Dabo's tenure there. Like their record at home is incredible.
Their fans, do you see that?
Yeah.
They did not take the officials' ruling on the onside kick situation. They didn't take it well, throwing a bunch of stuff on the field. They did it all wrong, Ted. You have to throw this stuff on the field before they announce the ruling of the review.
That's right.
That's how you scare them into giving them what you want. You don't do it after they've told you the answer you don't want. That's not how it works. You have to intimidate them before they announce what they've decided. Come on, guys. What are we doing?
Influence the decision before it's made.
Yeah.
And we had the game on the quad box. Okay. So I wasn't super dialed into everything. Sometimes I feel like whenever I do that, I watch all the games, but I don't watch any of them, if that makes sense. And I was struck by just physically how good of a football team Louisville looks like. I mean, it looks like they've got legit players both sides of the ball. Like
I agree.
They stack up really well.
They absolutely do. Now, their defense has not been some juggernaut,
Right.
but they went out there and put together a winning performance. I find Tyler Shuck to be wildly entertaining. Like the guy goes somersaulting into the end zone, and I'm just like, this guy's awesome. I love watching this guy. But I thought that Louisville's run game was the difference in the game, and then Clemson's inability to finish drives. What the only other thing about this game? What the hell was Dabo doing? Not going for two. They score a touchdown at the 6 minute mark in the fourth quarter. The touchdown makes it 23, or excuse me, 20. The touchdown makes it 26-13. And they kicked the PAT to make it a 12-point game. Somewhat, he gets paid a lot of money to know that you got to go for two there and make it an 11-point game. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I don't understand the math.
No,
but that was, I think it was.
You steal a possession that way, turn into a 2-possession game.
I think it was Bob Wischusen on the call.
Mm-hmm.
He straight up called Dabo out. Like, what are they doing? And I was sitting there going, he's right. What are they doing? I don't know how something like that happens. That was crazy to me, but.
Maybe he knew they were going to give up a touchdown on the first play of the next drive.
Very possible. I said it after they lost to Georgia, and it's not just because they lost to Louisville the way that they did, but it's because I believe it. Clemson is not going to be a national title contender. Like, they're not going to be a serious national title contender until Dabo Swinney changes the way that he builds his roster.
What do you think is their biggest
wide receiver?
Yeah, just the playmaker ability.
Their longest play, I think, was 22 yards in this game. And remember, Louisville is not, it's not like Louisville's rolling out an elite secondary, this elite defense. That is not what they have been. And I think, yeah, the longest pass, 22 yards. Longest play from scrimmage, Phil Maffa, who I really like, had a 24-yard run. And this is Clemson. And it's not like it's Georgia's defense, it's Louisville's.
Right.
Their longest play from scrimmage was 24 yards. Their longest pass was 22 yards. That is not good enough. Where are the explosive plays, man?
Yeah, the Wesco kid, I mean, he's a freshman, but that was like he's like one of the highest receivers rated receivers coming out of high school in a while. I mean, he was people thought he was going to be otherworldly, and he's just a freshman. Maybe he ends up becoming that, but I mean, you feel like they need to add some big time playmakers, or maybe the truth is just that the Clemson offense really just still is not kicked into gear like they want it to be.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they're able to make it to an ACC title game. We'll see if they can sneak into the playoff. But I just think until something changes, the days of them being some seriously you're considering about picking to win a national title, I just think those days are gone.
Well, and you're still SMU's got a realistic chance to win the ACC. BYU, which I still consider a newcomer to the Big 12. Colorado's still in it. Oregon in the Big 10. Texas in the SEC. The newcomers make it a big impression this year. Fun to see.